Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Definitely. I always love exploring new ideas.
Well, today we're taking a look at reinvention. I've got some excerpts here from James Altucher's book, Reinvent Yourself.
Oh, interesting. I've heard good things about that one.
Yeah, I've been feeling a bit stuck lately, looking for a little inspiration, a spark to maybe shake things up a bit. And it seems like this book might have some answers, some guidance on how to, well, reinvent myself.
I can relate to that feeling of being stuck. I'm definitely curious to see what Altucher has to say.
Me too. So the book starts with Altucher sharing his own journey. And well, it's pretty intense.
Yeah, how so?
He talks about hitting rock bottom, facing a serious personal crisis. He even had a near-death experience.
Whoa, that's heavy stuff. It sounds like he went through a lot.
He did, and he's very open about it, very honest about the struggles he faced. It seems like it was a real wake-up call for him, a moment where he had to reevaluate everything.
I can imagine. So, what were his big takeaways from that experience? What did he learn?
Well, he talks a lot about the importance of humility and gratitude. He realized that surrounding himself with positive and inspiring people was essential for his well-being.
That makes sense. The people we surround ourselves with can have a huge impact on our outlook and our motivation.
Absolutely. And he also started questioning traditional paths, the whole go to college, get a good job, climb the corporate ladder idea. He realized that those paths aren't always reliable in today's world.
I can see how that would be a major shift in perspective. So, how does he actually suggest people go about reinventing themselves?
He talks about it as an ongoing process of self-improvement. It's not a one-time event, but rather a continuous journey of working on your freedom, your relationships, and your habits.
It's about constantly evolving and growing. I like that.
Me too. And one of the first things he introduces is this really interesting equation for building a strong network. He calls it plus minus equal.
Plus minus equal. Okay, now I'm intrigued. Tell me more. How does that work?
Well, it's all about finding the right people to learn from, to challenge you, and to inspire you to grow. The plus represents mentors, those you can learn from.
Okay, so mentors are the plus. Got it.
Exactly. And then equal represents your peers, those who are on a similar level as you, those who challenge you to step up your game.
So peers are the equal. Makes sense.
Okay.
What about minus?
The minus represents those you can teach and mentor. It's about solidifying your own mastery by giving back and helping others.
I love that. It's not just about taking in information, but also sharing what you've learned and contributing to the growth of others.
Exactly. It's a beautiful cycle of learning, growth, and giving back. And it reminds me of something else that Altucher talks about, seeking mentorship from unexpected sources.
Well, yeah, like who?
Well, he shares a story about reaching out to Victor Niederhofer, a commodities trader, and Jim Cramer from Mad Money.
Wow, those are some pretty high-profile mentors.
They are. And Altucher admits that he was initially intimidated to reach out to them, but he knew that they had valuable knowledge and experience that he could learn from.
So how did he approach them? Did he just cold call them and ask for advice?
He had a much more strategic approach than that. He actually provided them with valuable insights up front, like an analysis of their work or a unique perspective on the markets. He demonstrated that he wasn't just asking for a handout, but was genuinely interested in adding value.
That's a great way to get someone's attention.
Exactly. And he also followed up persistently. He didn't just send one email and hope for the best. He continued to reach out, offering value, asking thoughtful questions, and building a genuine connection.
Sounds like he put in the work.
Yeah.
That takes dedication and a real belief in the power of mentorship.
Absolutely. And I think it's a great reminder that we can find mentors in all sorts of unexpected places. We just have to be open to the possibilities and willing to put ourselves out there.
It's about being proactive and recognizing the value that others can bring to our journey.
And it's about acknowledging that everyone faces unique challenges and needs different types of support. Altucher even sought out Susan Cain, the author of Quiet, to learn how to navigate social situations as an introvert.
That's a great example. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to reinvention. We all have different strengths and weaknesses, and it's okay to seek guidance in areas where we struggle.
Exactly. It's about recognizing our limitations and being willing to ask for help. And, it makes me think about something else that Altucher emphasizes, the importance of influence, especially the influence of his mentor, Robert Cialdini, who wrote the book Influence.
Oh yeah, influence is a classic. I've heard great things about it. What makes Cialdini so influential in Altucher's eyes?
Well, Cialdini views influence as an art form. He believes we can all master influence by understanding certain principles, much like an artist builds upon the works of those who came before them.
That's an interesting way to think about it. So, what are some of these principles of influence? Are there any that stand out, particularly for someone who's looking to reinvent themselves?
Two in particular come to mind: reciprocity and likability.
Okay, those sound interesting. Let's start with reciprocity. What does that mean in this context?
It's the idea that people are more likely to do something for you if you've done something for them first. It's giving before you get.
So it's not about expecting something in return immediately, but about building goodwill and nurturing the relationship. I like that.
Exactly. It's about creating a sense of mutual benefit. Like, let's say you're trying to connect with a potential mentor. By applying the principle of reciprocity, you could offer them something valuable upfront, maybe a thoughtful analysis of their work or a unique perspective that could benefit them.
That makes sense. It shows that you're not just taking, but also giving.
Exactly. It demonstrates genuine interest and increases the likelihood that they'll reciprocate your gesture.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this could be really powerful. What about likability? I feel like we instinctively know that likable people are more persuasive, but how do you consciously make yourself more likable?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. Cialdini suggests that even highlighting the negatives of dealing with you can actually make you more trustworthy and likable.
Wait, what? Highlighting the negatives. That doesn't make sense.
I know it sounds counterintuitive, but it plays into people's desire for transparency and authenticity. Think about it. If you're trying to sell someone something and you only highlight the positives, they might start to wonder what you're hiding. But if you're upfront about the potential downsides, the challenges, the weaknesses, it actually makes you seem more honest and trustworthy.
Okay, I see your point. It's like saying, hey, I'm not perfect. There are some downsides to working with me, but I'm being upfront about them.
Exactly. It's about disarming people with honesty. You're not trying to pull the wool over their eyes. You're being genuine and upfront about the good and the bad.
I can see how that would build trust and make you more relatable. So it's about being strategically vulnerable.
Exactly. It's about showing your human side and letting people see that you're not afraid to be imperfect.
And these are just two of Cialdini's principles of influence. Imagine the possibilities when you understand and apply all of them to your life, especially if you're trying to reinvent yourself.
Right. It's like having a secret weapon in your arsenal.
It's about understanding the psychology of persuasion and using those insights to navigate the world more effectively.
Absolutely. But, it's one thing to be influential and likable. It's another thing to know how to negotiate effectively, especially if you're trying to make a big change in your life. You might find yourself in situations where you need to negotiate a new job, a new contract, or even a new relationship.
That's true. Negotiation skills are essential for anyone who's trying to reinvent themselves, but they can be tough to master.
They can be, which is why I was so intrigued by Altucher's next mentor, Chris Voss, a former FBI hostage negotiator.
An FBI hostage negotiator. Wow. Now that's an unexpected source of guidance. What could he possibly teach about reinvention?
Well, Altucher sought Voss out to improve his own negotiation skills, which he admits were terrible. And Voss's approach is all about counterintuitive tactics.
It's counterintuitive. Like what?
Well, for example, Voss encourages getting people to say no first.
Say no. Why would you want someone to say no to you? That doesn't sound very productive.
It might seem counterintuitive, but Voss argues that getting a no early on establishes a baseline and actually opens up the conversation. It forces the other person to explain their reasoning, and it helps you understand their perspective.
Oh, I see. So instead of just accepting a no at face value, you dig deeper to understand the underlying reasons. It turns a roadblock into a starting point.
Exactly. It's about reframing the situation. And, it's kind of like what we were just talking about with Cialdini. By acknowledging the potential downsides, the no, you're actually creating more trust and transparency.
That's a great connection. It's about challenging assumptions and finding creative solutions. So besides getting people to say no, what other unexpected tactics does Voss use?
Well, he's a big believer in mirroring to build empathy. It's about reflecting back the other person's language and tone to show that you're truly listening and understanding their point of view.
So it's not just about hearing what they're saying, but about demonstrating that you're truly understanding their emotions and perspective.
Exactly. It's like a subtle way of saying, I hear you, I see you, I understand where you're coming from. It creates a sense of connection and rapport.
That's powerful. It seems like Voss's approach is all about building relationships and finding common ground, even in the most challenging situations.
Absolutely. And, it's a reminder that negotiation doesn't have to be this adversarial win-lose scenario. It can be a collaborative process where both parties feel heard and respected.
I like that. It's about finding win-win solutions. Yeah. What else did Altucher learn from Voss?
Well, he also talks about invoking a sense of powerlessness in the other person to motivate action.
Powerlessness.
Yeah.
How does that work?
It's about framing the situation strategically so they feel the need to do something to regain control. For example, instead of telling someone what to do, you might ask a question like, "What can we do to make this work for you?" Or, "What would you need to see in order to feel comfortable moving forward?"
Oh, I see. So instead of dictating terms, you're giving them a sense of agency and control.
Exactly. And that can often be more effective in motivating them to take action.
It's like reverse psychology.
Yeah.
Fascinating. What other negotiation tips did Voss share?
He's also a big believer in the power of specific numbers. Instead of rounding up or down, he suggests using precise figures, like saying $32,157 instead of $32,000.
Why is that? What difference does it make?
Voss argues that it creates a sense of concreteness and shifts the focus. It makes the other person think you've put a lot of thought into your offer, and it makes it harder for them to just dismiss it out of hand.
That's interesting. It's like you're anchoring the negotiation to a specific number.
Exactly. And he also advocates for adding extra terms and conditions to create bargaining chips.
Bargaining chips. What does that mean?
It means offering things that you're willing to concede on in order to get what you really want. It gives you more leverage and flexibility in the negotiation.
It makes sense. You have to be willing to give a little to get a little. So we've got this great FBI hostage negotiators counterintuitive tactics. It really does make you think about where you can find inspiration.
Right. It's not just about reading self-help books or attending seminars. It's about being open to learning from anyone and everyone who has something valuable to teach.
Altucher is really pushing the boundaries of where you can find guidance and who's next on this unconventional mentor list.
Believe it or not, he turns to comedian Louis C.K. for inspiration.
Louis C.K. Really? That's an interesting choice. What does he see in a comedian?
Well, Altucher is drawn to CK's self-awareness and his ability to confront difficult truths, to find humor in things that make us uncomfortable.
So instead of shying away from our weaknesses, CK is suggesting that we embrace them, even find a way to laugh at them. That's a refreshing perspective.
It is. It's about acknowledging those parts of ourselves that we might not be proud of, those parts that make us human. He has this great quote, "Everything that's difficult, you should be able to laugh about."
I love that. It's about finding the lightness in the darkness, not taking ourselves too seriously. And I think that's a crucial element of reinvention, especially when you're bound to face setbacks and challenges along the way.
Absolutely. It's about having a sense of humor and being able to bounce back from adversity. And speaking of bouncing back, who else does Altucher find inspiring?
He turns to Mac Lethal, the fastest rapper in the world, for a lesson in dedication and breaking creative boundaries.
It seems like Altucher is really drawn to people who push limits and challenge the status quo. What's the story with Mac Lethal?
Well, Altucher initially thought he was an overnight success, but he quickly learned that Mac Lethal's speed rapping was the result of 17 years of dedicated practice.
Wow, 17 years. That's incredible.
Right. It's a powerful reminder that tree mastery takes time, effort, and a willingness to push past your perceived limitations.
It's about having a vision and then committing to the process, even when it's challenging or discouraging. It's about trusting the journey and knowing that consistent effort over time yields incredible results.
And it's a message that really resonates with anyone who's trying to reinvent themselves. It won't happen overnight.
So we've heard about some pretty unconventional mentors so far: traders, hostage negotiators, comedians, and rappers.
It's a pretty diverse lineup. It shows that inspiration can come from the most unexpected places.
Absolutely. But Altucher also delves into the lessons learned from some well-known figures as well. People like Wayne Dyer, Superman, even characters from Star Wars. I can't wait to hear what he has to say about those folks.
Me neither. It's going to be fascinating to see how he connects those figures to the process of reinvention. So Altucher kicks off this section with Wayne Dyer. He was a big name in the self-help world, and Altucher really digs into Dyer's incredible life story.
Yeah, Wayne Dyer, he was something else. Didn't he start from pretty humble beginnings?
He did. He really did. He was an orphan, grew up in poverty, but he went on to become this successful author, speaker, you name it.
That's pretty amazing. It's a true rags to riches story.
It is. And Altucher really focuses on Dyer's message of choosing yourself, doing work you believe in, finding that purpose by chasing what truly energizes you.
That's a pretty classic self-help message, right? But coming from someone like Dyer who actually lived it, it hits differently.
It does, doesn't it? It's not just theory with him, it's lived experience. So when he talks about finding work that aligns with your values, work you'd even go to jail for, as he puts it, it carries a lot of weight.
Go to jail for. That's a pretty strong statement.
It is, but it speaks to the power of conviction. It's about finding that thing you're so passionate about, you'd fight for it, even if it meant sacrificing everything.
I get it. It's about finding that thing that makes you feel truly alive. What else did Altucher highlight about Dyer's work?
He talked about Dyer's advice to look at your life from a distance, to get some perspective, detach a bit from the everyday emotional roller coaster, you know?
Oh, I like that. It's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and lose sight of the bigger picture.
Right. So stepping back, getting some distance, helps you see things more clearly. And lastly, Altucher draws inspiration from Dyer's persistence, his willingness to go to the people even when traditional media weren't interested.
So instead of waiting for someone to give him a platform, he created his own.
Exactly. He built his following one person at a time, connecting directly with his audience. That's a valuable lesson for anyone trying to reinvent themselves. It's about taking action, creating your own path, not waiting for permission or validation.
It's about being proactive and taking ownership of your own success.
Now get this, the next person Altucher looks to is, wait for it, Superman.
Superman, the comic book hero. Okay, you've got to explain this one to me. I'm not seeing the connection to reinvention.
I know, it sounds crazy, but Altucher uses Superman as this metaphor for overcoming adversity, staying true to your values even when faced with overwhelming challenges.
So it's about rising above your circumstances, choosing to make a positive impact no matter what you've been through.
Exactly. And Altucher also highlights the idea of surrounding yourself with the right people, your own Justice League, so to speak, people who share your values, support your mission, and help you fight for what's right.
It's about finding your tribe, your support system, people who uplift you and inspire you to be your best.
Okay, I'm starting to see how even Superman can offer insights into the reinvention process.
It's all about finding those metaphors, those stories that resonate with you and help you see things from a new perspective. And guess what? After Superman, Altucher turns to Star Wars.
Star Wars. Okay, this is getting more and more interesting. What does he pull from a galaxy far, far away?
He talks about those classic themes that run through the Star Wars saga, themes like believing in yourself, embracing failure as a learning opportunity, finding your purpose in a larger mission.
It's like applying the hero's journey to your own life.
Right.
Exactly. We all face challenges, setbacks, dark forces along the way. But it's how we respond to those challenges, how we learn and grow from those experiences, that truly defines us.
I love how Altucher finds these universal themes in such unexpected places, comic books, movies. Where does he go next?
Well, this one might surprise you. He takes a look at Pope Francis.
Pope Francis.
Thank-
Now that's a surprising choice. What could someone like the Pope possibly teach us about reinvention?
Altucher focuses on his humility, his service to others, his emphasis on caring for creation. It's about finding fulfillment in something larger than yourself, in serving a purpose that's bigger than your own individual needs.
So it's not always about achieving external success. It can be about finding meaning and purpose in serving others and making a positive impact on the world.
And it's about leading by example, like Gandhi did. Altucher shares a story about a woman who asked Gandhi to tell her son to stop eating sugar.
Okay, what did Gandhi say?
Gandhi asked her to come back in 2 weeks. And when she did, he told the boy to stop eating sugar.
Huh, that's interesting. Why did he make her wait?
The woman asked the same thing. And Gandhi replied, because before I could tell your son to stop eating sugar, I had to stop eating sugar myself.
Wow, that's a powerful message about leading by example. You can't expect others to follow your advice if you're not willing to do it yourself.
Exactly. And Altucher highlights another key aspect of Gandhi's approach.
Yeah.
His commitment to silence and contemplation.
Silence. In today's noisy world, it seems like silence is a rare commodity.
It is. But Altucher argues that it was through this practice of silence that Gandhi found clarity and purpose in his life. It's about taking time for reflection and introspection, for connecting with your inner wisdom.
So it's not just about taking action, it's also about taking time to be still, to listen to your inner voice, to find that quiet space where you can connect with your true self. I love that.
It's about finding that balance between action and reflection, between doing and being.
And speaking of being in the zone, Altucher even finds lessons in the rap battles of Eminem.
Eminem. That's unexpected. What could someone possibly learn from a rap battle?
Right. It sounds crazy. But Altucher breaks down Eminem's strategies, how he uses things like anchoring, distinction bias, the availability cascade to control the narrative and influence the audience's perception.
Wow, those sound like some pretty advanced psychological techniques.
They are, and Altucher argues that they can be applied to everyday situations like job interviews, presentations, or even just casual conversations.
So it's about understanding how to use language effectively to persuade and influence others.
Exactly. And it's about being aware of the cognitive biases that can affect our thinking and using those biases to your advantage.
I'm starting to see how even a rap battle can be a masterclass in communication and persuasion. And next up, Altucher turns to Serena Williams.
Serena Williams, the tennis legend, she's a force of nature. What does he focus on in her story?
Her dedication, her work ethic, her focus on constant improvement. Altucher points out that her success is the result of decades of relentless practice and pushing her limits.
It's a reminder that achieving greatness requires a level of commitment and perseverance that most people just aren't willing to give.
Right. And Altucher also highlights that Serena's focus isn't solely on winning. She prioritizes family, her relationships outside of tennis. It's a good reminder that success isn't just about external achievements. It's about finding that balance.
Finding that balance between work, family, personal well-being, it's about living a fulfilling life, not just chasing external validation.
And next, Altucher turns to Chase Jarvis, a photographer.
Photography and reinvention, what's the connection?
Well, Altucher focuses on Jarvis's advice about finding your unique style, focusing on storytelling, and he links that to the broader theme of reinvention. He says that success, no matter what field you're in, depends on connecting with others authentically.
So it's not just about mastering your craft, it's about sharing your story in a way that resonates with people, creates a real connection.
Exactly. It's about finding your voice, your unique perspective, and then sharing that with the world.
I love how Altucher is able to find these common threads across such diverse fields like photography, sports, business, even spirituality. Where does he go from there?
Well, he gets a bit personal and shares his own anxieties about going to his high school reunion.
Oh, high school reunions. I think we've all had those moments of dread, wondering if we've lived up to our potential or what people will think of us.
Right. And Altucher talks about his past experiences with rejection, particularly from girls he was interested in. It's about learning to deal with those feelings of rejection, developing a thick skin, and not letting those experiences define you.
It's about recognizing that rejection is a part of life and not letting it crush your spirit.
And he also talks about being polite and respectful, even when you're feeling rejected.
That's a great point. It's easy to become bitter or resentful, but ultimately it's about treating others with kindness, even when you're hurting.
And Altucher sees those past rejections as valuable lessons. They helped him build resilience and determination.
It's about seeing setbacks as opportunities for growth, not reasons to give up. What else does he share about this high school reunion experience?
Well, he ultimately didn't go. But the process of reflecting on those past experiences helped him see how much he'd grown. He learned to embrace the awkwardness, the imperfections, and to accept himself for who he is.
That's so important. It's about self-acceptance and recognizing that we're all works in progress.
And it's about having a sense of humor about it all.
Laughter is the best medicine. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Where does Altucher take us next on this journey of reinvention?
He shifts gears and focuses on this concept of the choose yourself mentality.
I love that phrase. It's about taking ownership of your life, pursuing your passions, adding value to the world.
Exactly. And he uses the story of Chris Hadfield to illustrate this.
Chris Hadfield, the astronaut.
The one and only. He spent 21 years working towards his dream of going to space.
21 years. That's a serious commitment.
It is. And Altucher points out that Hadfield's success wasn't just about that one big achievement. It was about all the small successes along the way, celebrating those little victories.
It's about breaking down big goals into smaller, more manageable steps and enjoying the journey, not just focusing on the destination.
And it's about investing in the success of others. Hadfield was known for his generosity, for helping other astronauts achieve their dreams.
It's about paying it forward, recognizing that our success is often interconnected with the success of others.
And he brings in Damon John, the founder of FUBU, and a Shark Tank star for more wisdom.
Damon John, he's a fantastic example of someone who built a successful business from the ground up. What does Altucher focus on in his story?
He loves John's concept of the power of broke, The idea that financial limitations can actually be a source of strength and innovation.
The power of broke. That's a really interesting perspective. Most people would view financial constraints as a major obstacle, but John sees it as an advantage.
He does. He believes that when you're broke, you're forced to be more resourceful, more creative, more determined to succeed. You can't waste time or money, so you've got to be laser focused on making the most of what you have.
It's like the saying, necessity is the mother of invention. When you have limited resources, you have to get scrappy.
Exactly. And Altucher also highlights John's emphasis on community. John built FUBU by tapping into the hip-hop community, creating clothing that resonated with their culture.
It's about understanding your target audience, their needs, their aspirations. It's about building a brand that truly connects with people on a deeper level. And speaking of connecting with people, let's talk about Shark Tank.
Shark Tank, that's one of my favorite shows. It's so much fun to watch those entrepreneurs pitch their ideas and try to secure deals with the investors.
Me too. It's so entertaining. But it's also a brilliant example of negotiation in action. Altucher breaks down the strategies used by both the entrepreneurs and the investors.
It's like a masterclass in persuasion. What are some of the key takeaways?
Well, one thing he stresses is the importance of knowing your numbers. Entrepreneurs need to have a solid understanding of their financials.
Right, you can't just wing it. You need to be able to clearly articulate your business plan and demonstrate that you've done your homework.
Absolutely. And he also emphasizes the importance of being able to adapt and pivot when necessary. Many successful Shark Tank entrepreneurs have had to adjust their business plans on the fly to secure a deal.
It's about being flexible, open to feedback, and willing to adjust your course when necessary.
And it's about knowing your worth and not being afraid to walk away from a bad deal. Some entrepreneurs undervalue their businesses and are too quick to accept low offers.
It takes confidence and a strong belief in your product or service.
Absolutely. And Altucher points out that many successful Shark Tank deals are actually the result of personal connections and shared interests. It's about building relationships, networking, and finding those points of connection that can lead to mutually beneficial partnerships.
So Shark Tank is more than just entertainment. It's a valuable resource for anyone interested in entrepreneurship and the art of negotiation.
And it's a great example of how even a reality TV show can offer valuable insights into the process of reinvention. Speaking of valuable insights, Altucher turns to another inspiring figure, Tony Robbins, the motivational speaker.
Tony Robbins, he's a legend in the personal development world.
What does Altucher highlight about his teachings?
He focuses on Robbins' emphasis on asking empowering questions. The questions we ask ourselves shape our reality. Instead of asking, why am I so unlucky? We should be asking, what am I grateful for? Or what steps can I take to improve my situation?
It's about shifting our focus from problems to solutions, from negativity to possibility.
Exactly. And Altucher also highlights Robbins' emphasis on taking massive action.
Not just thinking about it, but actually doing it.
Exactly. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Start taking steps now, even if they're small ones, towards the life you want. And he talks about Robbins' idea of modeling excellence, finding mentors, people who are already successful in the areas you want to grow in, and learning from their strategies and habits.
So it's about surrounding yourself with successful people and emulating their behaviors.
Right, and building a strong support system, people who believe in you, who encourage you, and who hold you accountable for your goals.
Support systems are so crucial. We need people in our corner cheering us on and helping us stay motivated.
And Robbins also stresses personal responsibility. He argues that we're ultimately responsible for our own lives, our choices, our happiness. We can't blame others or external circumstances for our problems. We have the power to choose how we respond and to create the life we want.
It's about taking ownership of our lives and not playing the victim role.
And Altucher points out Robbins' focus on contribution, finding ways to make a positive impact, leaving a legacy.
It's about finding meaning and purpose in something larger than ourselves, about making a contribution that benefits others and makes the world a better place.
And shifting gears a bit, Altucher talks about finding stability and variety in life.
Okay, stability and variety. How do those two seemingly opposite concepts work together?
Well, stability creates a sense of security, grounding, but too much stability can lead to stagnation. We need a bit of variety to keep things interesting and challenging.
It's about finding that balance between routine and novelty.
Exactly. Altucher uses the example of marriage. Relationships can become stale if we just stick to the same routines. We need to inject novelty and excitement into our relationships, keep the spark alive.
That's a great point. It applies to all areas of life. Even jobs we love can become monotonous if we don't challenge ourselves and keep things interesting.
He encourages us to pursue our passions, try new hobbies, expose ourselves to new experiences. It's about living a full, vibrant life, not just going through the motions.
It's about finding that spark, that zest for life, and making sure it never goes out.
And who better to exemplify that than Larry Page, the co-founder of Google?
Larry Page, he's a true visionary. What does Altucher focus on in his story?
He highlights Page's belief in the power of technology to change the world.
I mean, Google has certainly changed the world.
Right, and Page famously said, if you're changing the world, you're working on important things, you're excited to get up in the morning. It's about finding that work that's meaningful, impactful, work that motivates you to jump out of bed each day.
I love that quote. It's so inspiring.
And Altucher also emphasizes Page's focus on innovation, challenging conventional thinking.
Google is all about innovation. They're constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
And they're not afraid to fail. Page encourages it. He says, if you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough.
It's about creating an environment where people feel safe to experiment, to try new things, even if they don't always work out.
Exactly. And he also points out that Page is committed to solving billion-person problems. It's about thinking big, aiming high, and making a real difference in the world.
I love that. It's about having a vision that extends beyond your own personal gain and using your talents to make a positive impact on a global scale.
And Altucher then brings in Mimi Icon.
Mimi Icon. I'm not familiar with her work. Tell me about her.
She's a beauty and lifestyle vlogger. She built a successful online business around her passion for beauty and fashion.
That's awesome. It's a great example of turning your passion into a profitable venture.
It is. And Altucher emphasizes the importance of finding your niche, becoming an expert in something you love, and then building a strong online presence to connect with your audience.
So it's about leveraging the power of social media to build your brand and reach a wider audience.
Exactly. But Altucher stresses that authenticity is key. People can spot a fake from a mile away. It's about being genuine, transparent.
It's about connecting with people on a human level, sharing your struggles and triumphs, and letting your personality shine through.
And he also highlights the importance of consistency and persistence. Icon has consistently created content for years, building her loyal following.
It's about showing up regularly, delivering on your promises, and playing the long game. It's not about overnight success, it's about building something sustainable over time.
And she's not afraid to be strategic, to innovate. She and her husband are constantly looking for new ways to grow their business, launching new ventures.
It's about being adaptable, open to new ideas, and always looking for ways to improve and grow.
And they emphasize the importance of balance. They've been open about their struggles with burnout and the importance of taking time for themselves, prioritizing health and relationships.
It's about recognizing that success isn't just about work and achievements, it's about living a fulfilling and balanced life. And next up is someone I remember from my childhood, Judy Blume.
Judy Blume, she's a legend. Her books were so relatable, so real.
They were. I loved her honesty and her humor. What does Altucher focus on in her work?
He talks about her ability to connect with young readers. She captured the complexities of childhood and adolescence with such honesty and empathy.
Her books tackled some pretty tough topics too, right?
They did. She wasn't afraid to address those difficult and often taboo subjects that kids and teenagers face. She broke down barriers and opened up conversations about sexuality, purity, all sorts of things that were considered off limits back then.
It's about having the courage to speak your truth, even when it's uncomfortable or controversial. It's about using your voice to make a difference and to create space for dialogue.
And Altucher also emphasized the importance of friendship in her books. The power of those connections, you know.
Those connections are so important, especially during those formative years.
And Altucher highlights Bloom's humility. She never set out to be famous. She just wanted to write stories that connected with young people. And she's incredibly grateful for her success.
It's a good reminder to stay grounded, to be grateful for the opportunities that come our way, and to not let success go to our heads. And now we turn to Charles Bukowski.
Charles Bukowski. He's a whole different vibe than Judy Blume. His work is known for its raw and gritty portrayal of urban life.
His writing is definitely not for the faint of heart, but it's powerful stuff. What does Altucher see in Bukowski that speaks to the reinvention process?
He highlights his unflinching honesty, his willingness to expose his flaws, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
It's about being real, authentic, not trying to hide behind a mask or pretend to be someone you're not.
And Bukowski faced countless rejections, but never gave up.
It's about persistence, about believing in yourself and your vision, even when others don't.
And he had this unique voice. He could find beauty in the mundane and the everyday struggles and triumphs of ordinary people.
It's about seeing the world through your own lens, finding inspiration in the unexpected, and not being afraid to express yourself in your own unique way.
And he didn't care about following traditional literary conventions. He broke the rules, challenged the norms.
It's about having the courage to be different, to stand out from the crowd, and to create something that's truly your own.
And maybe that's a good segue into Altucher's reflections on his own high school experience.
High school. What can we possibly learn from Altucher's awkward teenage years?
Well, he talks about the anxieties and awkwardness he felt, especially when it came to interacting with girls, those unsuccessful attempts to connect. And he uses these experiences to highlight the importance of understanding social dynamics.
High school can be a real social jungle.
Yeah.
What specific insights does he offer?
He realized his approach was all wrong. He was trying too hard to impress people, to be someone he wasn't.
It's a common mistake, especially when we're young and insecure. We try to fit in, to be cool, instead of just being ourselves.
Exactly. And he learned that being authentic, being genuinely interested in others, was far more effective in connecting.
It's a lesson that applies well beyond high school. It's about being comfortable in your own skin and letting your true personality shine through.
He also highlights the importance of social cues. He realized he wasn't picking up on subtle signals, misinterpreting situations.
It's about developing that social intelligence, paying attention to nonverbal cues, learning to read the room.
And it's about confidence. He realized his insecurities were holding him back.
Confidence is so key. It's about believing in yourself and your worth, even when you feel awkward or unsure.
And not taking yourself too seriously.
Right. It's about being able to laugh at yourself and not letting fear or self-doubt dictate your actions.
He realized he was so focused on trying to impress others, he wasn't actually listening to them.
Listening is so important. It's about showing respect, valuing the other person's perspective, and truly engaging in a meaningful conversation.
And he talks about embracing rejection as part of the process. Not everyone is going to like you. Not every interaction will be a success, and that's okay.
It's about developing resilience and realizing that rejection isn't personal, it's just part of life.
And finally, he reflects on how those awkward high school experiences, painful as they were at the time, actually shaped him into the person he is today.
It's about having that perspective, looking back on our past experiences, even the challenging ones, and recognizing that they've helped us grow.
And then Altucher dives into the world of politics.
Politics. This should be interesting. Who does he focus on?
He chooses a pretty controversial figure, Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. He's certainly a polarizing figure. I'm curious to hear how Altucher justifies this one.
He acknowledges the strong opinions about Trump, but says that regardless of your political stance, there are valuable lessons we can learn from his unconventional path to success.
Okay, I'm listening with an open mind. What does he focus on?
His mastery of branding and self-promotion.
Love him or hate him, Trump is a master of creating a larger-than-life persona.
And he connects with a specific audience. He taps into their emotions and aspirations.
It's about understanding your target audience, what makes them tick, what they care about.
And Altucher also highlights his persistence. Trump faced countless setbacks, but always bounced back.
He's got that Teflon coating, nothing seems to stick.
And Altucher points out Trump's negotiation skills. He's known as a master deal maker.
He definitely knows how to play the game.
And his final takeaway from Trump's story is the importance of controlling the narrative.
It's about shaping the story, putting your own spin on things, and not letting others define you or your message.
And from the political arena, Altucher takes us into the world of film.
Film! Should be interesting. Which director does he choose?
He chooses Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino. He's a brilliant filmmaker. His movies are so unique and visually stunning. What does Altucher see in Tarantino that resonates with the theme of reinvention?
His passion for film. Tarantino is a true cinephile. His work is full of references to classic movies.
He wears his influences on his sleeve.
And he breaks the rules. His movies often feature non-linear storytelling, graphic violence, unconventional dialogue. He doesn't shy away from pushing boundaries.
He definitely has his own unique style. And it's that originality, that willingness to be different that has made him so successful.
Altucher also talks about Tarantino's distinctive visual style. His ability to create those iconic, memorable scenes.
He's a master of visual storytelling. His films are so visually rich and engaging.
And he's a great collaborator. He surrounds himself with talented actors and crew members. It's about creating a shared vision and working together to bring your ideas to life.
It's a reminder that success is often a team effort, and we need to surround ourselves with people who can help us achieve our goals.
Okay, so we've gone from comic books to movies to politics. Where does Toucher take us next?
This one might surprise you. He turns to Arnold Schwarzenegger for inspiration.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator himself. What can we possibly learn from a bodybuilder turned actor turned politician?
Well, Altucher argues that Schwarzenegger's journey teaches us valuable lessons about goal setting, perseverance, and self-belief.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What are some of the key takeaways?
First and foremost, having a clear vision and setting ambitious goals. Schwarzenegger imagined himself becoming a successful bodybuilder, a Hollywood star, even the governor of California, and he achieved all of them.
He's a real-life action hero.
He is, and he did it through sheer determination and self-belief.
It's about dreaming big and then backing those dreams up with action. Exactly. Yeah, Altucher also highlights Schwarzenegger's incredible work ethic. He was known for his intense training regimens, always pushing himself.
It's about putting in the work, making sacrifices, and never settling for mediocrity.
And he was able to adapt and reinvent himself over time. Bodybuilding, acting, politics. It shows that we're not limited to just one path.
It's about embracing new challenges and not being afraid to step outside of your comfort zone.
And he had this unshakable self-belief, you can do it, was his mantra.
It's about cultivating a positive mindset and believing in your abilities even when others doubt you.
He also has this undeniable charisma. He connects with audiences, whether he's on screen or giving a speech.
It's about having that presence, that ability to connect with people on an emotional level.
And finally, Altucher points out that Schwarzenegger gives back to the community. He's involved in a ton of philanthropic work.
It's about using your success to make a difference in the world. It's about leaving a legacy that extends beyond your own personal achievements.
And speaking of leaving a legacy, Altucher then turns to Maya Angelou.
Maya Angelou, she was a true icon. Her words have touched so many lives. What does Altucher focus on in her story?
He highlights her resilience in overcoming a really traumatic childhood. She channeled her pain into powerful writing that resonated with people all over the world.
Her story is a testament to the human spirit's ability to overcome adversity and find beauty and meaning even in the darkest of places.
And he talks about her unwavering belief in the power of words.
Words can heal, inspire, transform lives.
Exactly. And she used her platform to advocate for social justice and equality. She was a tireless champion for civil rights.
She was a powerful voice for change.
And Altucher highlights her warmth and generosity. She had this incredible ability to connect with people from all walks of life.
She just radiated love and compassion.
And she was a true optimist. She believed in the power of hope, in the human spirit's resilience.
It's a reminder to never give up, even when things are tough. There's always hope.
And her final takeaway from Angelou's story is the importance of embracing our vulnerabilities, sharing our stories authentically.
It's about being real, being honest, even when it's scary or uncomfortable. It's about letting people see our flaws and imperfections because that
makes us human and allows us to connect with others on a deeper level.
It's about letting go of the need to be perfect and embracing our imperfections.
And Altucher shifts gears to the world of sports again, looking at Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan, he's a legend, widely considered one of the greatest athletes of all time.
Absolutely. And Altucher emphasizes Jordan's commitment to excellence. He was known for his incredible work ethic, his competitive drive.
He was relentless, always pushing himself to be better.
And Altucher highlights Jordan's ability to embrace failure. He famously said, "I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed."
It's a great reminder that failure is not the opposite of success. It's a stepping stone. It's part of the process.
And he points out Jordan's mental toughness, his ability to perform under pressure, deliver when it mattered most.
He was clutch.
He was. And he understood the importance of teamwork and leadership. He knew he couldn't do it alone.
It's about recognizing that we need others. We need to work together to achieve great things.
And Altucher's final takeaway from Jordan's story is the importance of inspiring others, leaving a legacy. Jordan's impact extends far beyond the basketball court.
He inspired a generation of athletes and fans. He showed the world what's possible when you combine talent with hard work and dedication.
And speaking of inspiring figures, Altucher then turns to Madonna.
Madonna, The queen of pop. She's the ultimate chameleon, constantly reinventing herself over the years.
She is. And Altucher highlights her fearlessness, her willingness to challenge herself, push boundaries, and embrace change.
She's never been afraid to take risks or to shock people. It's part of her brand.
And she's a master of self-promotion. She understands the power of media and knows how to create a buzz.
She's a marketing genius.
And Altucher emphasizes her dedication to her craft. She's a perfectionist, always pushing herself to deliver amazing performances.
She's a true professional.
And she's a savvy businesswoman. She's built a successful empire around her brand.
It's about being strategic and finding creative ways to leverage your platform.
And Altucher's final takeaway from Madonna's story is the importance of staying true to yourself, no matter what anyone says.
It's about having the courage to be yourself, to express your creativity without apology.
And he ends this exploration of reinvention with a really interesting concept: personal myths.
Personal myths. What does he mean by that?
He says we all create these stories about ourselves. They help us navigate the world, give meaning to our experiences.
I think I understand. It's like the narratives we tell ourselves about who we are, what we're capable of, what our place in the world is.
Exactly. And these stories can be empowering or limiting, depending on the story we choose to tell.
So if we tell ourselves we're failures, we're likely to act in ways that confirm that belief.
Right. But the good news is, we have the power to rewrite those stories. We can choose to focus on our strengths, celebrate our accomplishments, and view challenges as opportunities for growth.
It's about taking control of our own narratives and creating a story that supports our goals and aspirations.
He encourages us to identify the myths that are holding us back, the negative self-talk, those limiting beliefs, and then consciously choose new stories that empower us.
So it's about becoming aware of those negative thought patterns and replacing them with positive, affirming beliefs.
And he suggests techniques like journaling, affirmations, visualization to help us reframe our thoughts and create a more positive internal dialogue.
It's about actively shaping our thoughts and beliefs, creating a mental environment that supports our growth and well-being.
And remember, the journey of reinvention is ongoing. It's not a one-time event, but a continuous process of self-discovery and growth.
Wow, this has been an incredible deep dive. So many insights, so much to think about.
Altucher's book is full of wisdom and inspiration.
I feel so energized and motivated to embrace the process of reinvention and to create a life that's truly my own.
Remember, embrace discomfort, learn from unexpected sources, and never stop pursuing your passions.
Great advice. Surround yourself with supportive people. Find mentors who inspire you, and never give up on your dreams.
Reinvention is a journey worth taking.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into James Altucher's Reinvent Yourself. We'll be back with another exploration of fascinating topics and thought-provoking ideas. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep reinventing yourselves.